this impulsivity, this way in which we engage with tilt, the way in which we control the impulsivity and the tilt, finding discipline, not chasing dopamine, not just trading to trade, but really focusing on a system and back testing that system and becoming familiar with what that system likes over time. I mean, you've talked so much about pattern recognition, and I don't think there's anything wrong with a community really embracing what pattern recognition and price delivery is, and just the way you've been able to communicate those patterns from, again, we're talking 2016, 2017, and it's 2024. And we're looking at mentorships of previous times and patterns and price delivery that's so unique and similar within these conditions. And I say all that to say, traders who are impulsive, traders that are desperate, traders that are coming to the chart for this external validation, how within this system or process or this business, how, Michael, can a trader overcome their selves, their own weaknesses? How can they overcome this thing that you're pointing out? Like, I have this validation. I have an ex-wife. I am you, what you were saying. I can identify with every single thing you're saying. How can I overcome it? How?
I can only say what I did,
Right.
and hopefully that has some kind of a value, or at least a starting point that is, use it as a springboard to try and see if that can get you in the right direction. I'm certain it'll help majority of you, help most of you. But for me, I had to focus on things that were predictable, because I was predicting that I would be successful, and my ex-wife would see that and be like, "Wow, I let go of a good guy, all around, and I want to be back with that man." That was not certain, and that's not predictable. It's not high probability. So my mind needed to latch on to something that was highly probable, and it needed to be something that was consistently reliable. So that way, like, think about it, when we're married as men, when we come home, we want our spouse to be happy that we are coming home, and see a smile on their face, run up and embrace you and hug you and say, "Man, I have been thinking about you all day. I cannot wait to share dinner with you. And let me tell you about my day, and I can't wait to hear what you had done today." That's what we want. That means, number one, you've been missed, you're appreciated, and they want to share time with you, and they want to share their intimate moments from the day, and they can't wait to hear what you went through. That's exactly what men want. We want that. And if women gave that to us, we wouldn't do anything outside the relationship. We would be validated in and of itself. We wouldn't have all these problems as a trader, as a male. We would be content with the relationship. But I didn't have that, so I was trying to compensate with that by making money. So my mind had to be shifted to something that was predictable, and what was predictable was these PD arrays, these data points that were reliable. I could anticipate them. And I moved away from, and I migrated my expectations away from being profitable and making lots of money for the express purposes of impressing other people, being validated through the eyes and lenses of someone outside of myself. I went into the charts and saying, okay, I have to have something that's reliable. And I had built these relationships with these PD arrays where I knew at a specific time, just like a spouse would come home from work, I know I can't wait to see my wife when she comes home. I can't wait to see her. I can't wait to embrace her and kiss her and tell her I love her and miss her. I want to have dinner, and then we're going to spend our time together in the evening time. And it may involve intimacy. It may not. And either way, I'm happy I'm in a relationship with her. And if I have children, I get to see them come home from school, or they may be home waiting for me, and their face lighting up when I walk through. Those are all things that we want to have experiences. They're wonderful. But when you're stripped of that, or you don't have that, or you're pursuing that type of thing, and you don't have the resources, you don't have the relationship established yet, because you aren't established as a man or a woman, and you start looking at the effects of just doing something because you feel like you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting anywhere when you're not in a relationship. You're not doing anything. You're not being successful. You're not living. You're not living a successful life, not in your own eyes and not in the view of anyone outside externally. So you start forcing things to give you stimuli because, like anything else, pain is uncomfortable. And one form of pain masking another is better than just sitting in one state of pain, never doing anything about it, and you choosing to stay in it. And many times, that's that cycle we go into as a trader. We keep repeating the same thing. How many times have you impulsively blew an account? You got in there, you just simply got tired of waiting, or you didn't do the analysis. You didn't do anything. You just sat in front of the charts and you just sat there and stared, and all of a sudden you dwelled on what you're upset about. You're dwelling on a future hopeful, I hope I get the attention of this person, or I hope I get the recognition of this person in my family, or the respect or something. And then that pain, that discomfort, that very thing that causes you to feel emotionally unhinged, when that happens, you feel pain, you feel discomfort. What's the easiest way to get out of that? Distraction. And the best thing to do is give yourself distraction about whether you're going to be making money, because that is a very good pacifier. Pacifying an individual from pain with the pursuit of making money, or in deference to men, pursuit of sex. When we have the opportunity to have intimacy with the opposite sex, or if it's in your personal persuasion, the same sex, whatever it is, if you're pursuing that as a male, that's a strong, strong impulsive thing. And many young men, most of my students that have divulged a lot of these things to me, they tell me all the time that they want to make money real quick and fast because they want to feel wanted by the opposite sex. They want to be wanted. And they view having money and finding success as sexy, attractive.
That is so true to everybody, Michael. I fell a trap to that as well. I mean, preach, brother.
And I was in the same thing. That's exactly what I was doing. Like I lost my wife, and I was thinking to myself, I don't know how to date. Like I didn't. I had one woman. I slept with one woman, and I only wanted to be with one woman. And all my other friends were running around clubbing and stuff, and I just was not. It wasn't me. I couldn't do it. But I had a small period of time when I was doing it. But that was one of my worst times as a trader, because I was doing everything I could to project externally that I had it all figured out, and I was hip. I was the one. And back then, the 20-year-old me, I wasn't the one, and I was doing everything wrong. But on the outside, I was projecting as if I had it all figured out, because I needed someone, and it doesn't matter who it was at that time. Someone needed to tell me that they believed in me. They had faith in what I was doing was of value, because I was at my lowest point. And you'll do anything and everything to get out of that state of mind. And for me, it was taking big risks. I wasn't afraid of losing money. I felt it before. In fact, it became a normal function. Losing lots of money became something I was accustomed to. It's much like a very sad event where a woman stays in a relationship where she's being battered by the person she's with, abusive relationships. And they make up all these excuses that, if I leave, that means I quit the relationship. If I stay here long enough and show them that I care, they will turn it around. Well, that's what we do with our trading. We do the same thing. We abuse ourselves, beating ourselves up, causing us to lose money. And we keep saying, I'm not going to divorce this idea of doing it wrong. Because if I keep doing it, eventually it will submit to me and I will conquer it. But it doesn't work that way. And we keep this toxic mindset, this looping cycle over and over and over again. And you need someone outside of you that's done it the right way and found their escape from all that stuff. And that's what I try to tell you when I give you these long-winded stories, because for some of you, you probably haven't even been trading long enough to encounter that problem yet. You just started. You don't even know what it feels like to be at the mercy of your own emotions, trapped in this mental prison that you're creating for yourself, that the door is unlocked. All you got to do is step out of it. But you hold that door closed, or you're staring at it open, but you're saying, I don't deserve to walk out of here. I need to fix it this way. And when you're doing it all wrong. And it's a very complex thing, but you have to obviously strip away all these reasons that are outside yourself and focus on data. You need to focus on what it is you're pursuing And then keep your focus on whether or not these things are reliable. Are they prompting you at the times they're supposed to? I'm talking specifically about PD arrays. Like today, what I shared today, that type of thing, it's predictable. And I found passion, I found reward, I found, I guess, accomplishment really by seeing my expectations being met with the reality in the market that is supposed to be random, that nobody knows how to predict and time the market. But now I'm sitting here in Middle River, Maryland, in an area where you're collectively white trash, and I'm walking around people. They have no idea I can do this, and it completely changed and stripped the way I see things. And that's what I want the listeners that were watching that today. I want them to feel that. That's not arrogance. That's not ego. That's not you, you know,
No,
acting
Michael.
better.
Michael, one thing I want to add, and I want to just coming to the chart as your best self. And that's
Yes.
something that as we're walking through and peeling back the emotions and really trying to deal with these external factors, how we are overcoming these things to come to the chart as our best version of ourself. And for some folks who are newer, they might not have the same emotional layers and the context that we bring to it, and the story that we bring to it. And I too can very much relate. And I know there will be older traders that too can very much identify. And then there's going to be younger folks that, I mean, it's just that they won't have that, but it's how can they become their best selves, right? Like, not these impulses that you're talking about, the choices that these people make. I mean, the woman that a young man lusts after over time, and they're trying to be a good trader, is that in their best interest? In the same way that they lust after these impulses externally, are they doing the same thing in trying to validate themselves through the chart, internally, or through the market? So just wanted to pontificate, or get your thoughts and 2 cents as the younger traders, and how they can come to the chart as their best selves.
That admittedly, they're the hardest of my audience to reach because you know how it is when you were young too. We don't listen. Look, we're not going to listen to good advice because we think that you ain't me, bro. Okay, so nobody's going to know it better than we do when we're young men. Um, my only advice that I can give is you're going to try it your way. You're going to think that you're going to be the exception to the rule, and you're going to find out very painfully, humbling, that you can't cross the humble river. Okay, and you can't get on the other side the way you're trying to do it. And if you simply give yourself more time and flexibility, and don't build up this future image of yourself, you need to build up the strong inward man or woman, and keeping the focus on you being principally oriented. You have to be rule based, and that's the only way you can manage yourself without emotion. And if you focus on things should start with this time, this price, this is what I'm only trading. I'm not going to chase another market. I don't care about gold. Everything's gold, 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 gold. Before gold, everybody was Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. There's always a big market move. And the traders that impulsively this herd mentality run over there, they're the most inexperienced. And that is showcasing a central tenet to people that are, number one, not mature as a speculator. The people that were running in the pits, the floor traders in the pits when they had open outcry. They was always watching big commodity market runs, soybeans going limit up, oats, cattle, whatever. They didn't turn to each other and say, you know what, guys, we got to get out of this S&P market, okay, and we got to go over here and start doing that. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. Why? Because they know themselves. They know their market. They know their model. Why are they going to chase something else? It's just like I gave you with the analogy with a man with a good woman, or a woman with a good man, or a good partner, whatever it is that they're for you and you're for them. Monogamous. You need to be monogamous with your model. You need to be monogamous with your expectations as the trader in development. You can't force future success faster than it's going to come. And knowing as a young man, it's harder for someone that has nothing to lose. to be disciplined. You're going to be reckless. You're going to go out there and just take huge risks. You're going to pour all your money, it's like girl money. You work all week long just to blow it on a Friday night, trying to get somebody to come home and hop into bed with you. You're doing the same thing in the marketplace. You're going to throw all your money that you saved up to put in that account or spent on these funded accounts, and you're going to blow it all in one attempt just to make lottery wins. And that's your girl money trade. That's what that is. So there's really no difference. We're back to the same thing, but I don't have an answer for the young men that's beyond that, because I know what I just said wasn't going to work on me. It wasn't going to work on me because of my youth. And you have to let the youthful men hit the bottom. They have to feel pain. They got to do it wrong. And then eventually say, you know what? I'm going to be a man. I'm going to own it. This is my fault. I can't blame anybody else. I'm doing it wrong. I need to see somebody explain this in a way where it makes sense to me. And I have a rule-based idea imposed upon me, and I got to exercise discipline doing that. There's no other escaping it. That's it. They either hit rock bottom and stop, or they come in, which is rare. They come into this business very mature, very grounded, and they're going in with discipline right away. And it's very hard to find. Very,
One
very
thing,
hard to find.
one thing you're mentioning, Michael, is I find the difference in the evolution of who we're talking about here in these young men, folks pre-fatherhood, versus folks who become fathers and become providers. And when we talk about the repercussion and or how a man in their own evolution, when we do look for the market to provide, as you've talked about in your Edge series and in so many other content that you've created, finding ways to have the market actually provide, and the trader becoming a father, becoming a husband, reaching some of these milestones as they do transition from being a younger, more reckless man into someone that they got a baby now, and they got a little bit more responsibility, and they do need to provide, and where and how trading can be more. And because of that provision or that necessity within themselves, that they do incur more risk management, and they have more discipline to their approach, and typically they find success, right? Like, so the evolution of trader that we talk to, our audience, your audience, Michael, our community, there are so many different folks that we're really talking to, and I think, how do we and talk to the audience of the young men who are, struggling fathers that are trying to pay additional bills. And I will reiterate, just with flowers to you, and say, reiterate, pay attention to the right now content, right? Because the sense of urgency is there. You are providing a very, very clear conduit of understanding for folks to pour themselves over to then apply that discipline to be their best selves. Because coming to the chart with fear and anxiety or greed, or the same way that we're referencing lust and these lower vibrational things about who we are, right, in the world that we live in, and coming together as traders and talking about being providers, that's like the flip side, right? Being a father, there's so much high vibration and positive vibes, and I want to continue the conversation, or pretty please, these fathers, that these young men who are fathers versus the young reckless man still learning that has to hit rock bottom. Would you mind, what insight or advice would you give them?
What advice for which group? I thought I was just talking about the younger group. Are we
Well,
asking
yeah,
about
no, I
the
mean,
father?
we were talking about like the younger group, and I was thinking of seeing if we could transition, because there are some folks in our audience that are, they are recently married, they are committing, they are in these committed monogamous relationships, but they're still, they're transitioning, right? The point is your audience is so diverse, and when we refer to any archetype or character, that there's this broad community that we have. So you're really talking to, a lot of different folks. So I was just thinking of it in that regard. That's all.
Well, I will contribute this. I have seen statistically the majority of my successful students that go on to be consistently profitable, they make real money, they became millionaires, are the ones that have either a monogamous relationship that they're grounded in, and they would never jeopardize that with their trading. They would never jeopardize their um, their personal finances or family finances with this. So they treat it very maturely. They're sober minded with their risk. They manage risk because of that, and they have something to lose. And when you're young, we don't have anything to lose. We're just reckless, young, wild, and fancy and free. And my best successful students are all family people. They either have a spouse or they have a long-term relationship that hasn't moved into a relationship that's married yet, but they're basically married in their eyes, and or they have children. And when you become one of those two, if not both, a parent or a spouse or a long-term relationship that's committed, there's a paradigm shift. You're not going to be so apt to go out and just blow it out. And that doesn't mean that you can't become that. But I have seen that when someone is shown a structure or an approach to go into saying, okay, first discover who you are. What are your triggers? What makes you tick? What gets you excited? What makes you mad? What gives you fear? What causes you to feel overzealous or overconfident? You need to discover those things early on, regardless if you're a young man, young woman, old person, middle age, family or not. That's the first thing we have to do all the time, because that's what makes you tick. And if you're ticking, you're a bomb waiting to go off. And if you don't know how to defuse before you self-destruct, you will go on tilt. And you can have a model that works really, really well and still just simply not do it right and blow up. I have seen that the folks that have learned how to trade well, they have a family mindset. They're not doing this to get the coolest, flashy sports car right now so they can go on the social media. They're doing it because they want to build future wealth. They want to be able to provide a better lifestyle for not only for themselves, but their family. And they want to bring continuity to their life that way. And they're not interested in sharing how much money they're making with everybody else. So they're introverted financially. And to me, that's like a superpower, because today everybody wants to show what's in their wallet. Everybody wants to show what they just spent their money on a stupid purchase. And the successful students I have, while they may have all those things in the pursuit of what they're doing in trading, and they can afford those things, they're not trying to live their life in the limelight, pushing that out on everybody else, because they've grown past this in their life where they're no longer looking for outside or external validation. They're looking for the continued success that they're in their relationship and family, and whether it be with their spouse or whether it be as a single parent, they have something to lose, and they don't want to be reckless about it. So they take trading or diving into trading with a little bit more sober mindset, and their shortened learning